I admit I was one of those people that at the beginning of this generation, even though Microsoft had a lot of problems with the Xbox One, I thought that, even before it was released, that Xbox would, quote-unquote, win the generation or whatever. And I realized that times are changing and that, gaming is changing, or at least they wanted to change. These companies wanted to change. I don't really see a ton of gamers asking to, play their favorite game on the toilet with their phone. So, it remains to be seen how successful this kind of stuff is going to be. But at the same time, it's very interesting. And it's also interesting to see how, as I can look from an outside perspective now at Xbox fans or fanboys, there's a difference for sure. I used to be a fanboy for sure. And, the fanboys that just think that Microsoft's making all the right moves and, that Sony should copy everything Microsoft's doing, despite the fact that Microsoft's in last place and, they're gonna win because they're doing all the right moves. And then you just look, and I just kind of scratch my head sometimes when I see some of these comments where it's like, do you guys not see what Microsoft is doing? They're not even giving you a reason to upgrade your console. They're releasing what could be 5 to 6 consoles in a 7-year period, and they don't play games any different than one another. I mean, better graphically maybe, but there's literally no difference whatsoever. They play the exact same games, and I just can't help but think that there's not going to be as much hype around that as, say, a PS5, which is going to allow you to play exclusive games that are only on that. There's going to be cross-gen games there as well, but to me it just doesn't make sense from a first-party perspective to not really showcase your console with stuff that can't be played on the older stuff, because what's the point of upgrading them? There's other things as well. It does seem like Microsoft is still, even though they have these new studios for the next couple of years, it's just going to be like Halo and Forza and then some smaller AA titles. To me, no matter what Microsoft does, they're never going to have that that palpability that Sony does, right? Like Sony doesn't even need to go to E3, and that sounds like hyperbole or something, but honestly it's not, because Sony can just tweet out something after Microsoft's E3 and trend above it on social media, because that's how big they are. They're a bigger hit worldwide than Microsoft. Like Microsoft is there in the States and in the UK, but everywhere else Sony's like, and even there Sony's still number one, but it's like Sony has everywhere, and Microsoft just doesn't have that, and they'll never have that for multiple reasons. But I think people forget this. They think, I hear a lot of people going, well, xCloud isn't going to win Microsoft any generations. The only people probably that are going to realistically use that, and only for a little bit, is the hardcore Xbox fanboys that are trying to prove that it's good. And then after the novelty's worn off, they're not going to be using it anymore. Just because this is the way stuff goes. You already don't see people using this stuff or talking about it anymore, and it's just easy to tell. Everybody hypes up their studios, but their studios are like literally 3 to 4 years away from doing anything or releasing anything that's going to showcase anything. So no matter what Microsoft does, no matter how big of a fan you are of them, I'm sorry, the Xbox will never, ever, ever, ever beat the PlayStation, and that's okay, because you don't have to base your fun on that to begin with. I'm just saying, a lot of people are realistically getting hyped up like Xbox has a chance. They have zero chance. They're going to fall behind 10-15 million within the first year or so. So keep that in mind, and just and you'll have fun. Like you'll enjoy what they do. But for me personally, them not having exclusives in the first 2 years that show off the console was an easy pass for me, and how easy, hey, I'm going to pick up a PlayStation 5. So let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe, agree, disagree, rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.